Good afternoon, and we're ready to start our program. And if you need a program, a brochure, and you do not have one, if you could please raise your hands. We have some energetic young tennis players here that would like to come and deliver to you. So if you want to grab a few and go out into the crowd, there's some people that would like a program.
So a little hustle here.
Thank you.
There you go, they got their hands up.
Welcome, everyone, to the 30th Annual Tennis Hall of Fame Ceremony. On behalf of the Hall Steering and Selection Committees, we want to thank you for attending this event today. We're excited to announce that we have Bobby in the house here, and he is our video guy today, and we're going to start, hopefully in the future, if financially we can afford it, we want to keep archiving these so that these will be present for you all on social media. So let's hear it for Bobby for coming today at a last minute's notice. My name is Katie Barnes, and I, along with my husband, Coach Don Barnes, we coach O'Gorman High School tennis. I assist him, but I do want you all to know that I am the head coach at home. There are currently 70, including the new inductees today, 3 of them, in the Hall of Fame. And I would like to ask right now for you to all stand up and be recognized. And Bobby is going to take a quick little zoom so that we can get this on video as well. All Hall of Famers, please stand up. I see some people squatting back there. I guess they don't want to be included in the Hall of Fame. Thank you. Thank you, Bobby, for doing that. 30 years ago, there was a gentleman, and many of you remember John Eagan. He was sports writer and editor for the Argus Leader. And it was John Eagan that actually came up with the idea in speaking with some of the tennis enthusiasts in the area, and he said, you know, we need to recognize people in their excellence in tennis in the state of South Dakota. And so it was actually the vision of John Eagan is the reason that we're here today. But in 1989, there was a group of tennis enthusiasts who took this and ran with it. And so I would like to ask you, if you were part of that first meeting, the very first meeting, to put this thing together, could you please stand up?
It means we're old.
I see a bunch of old guys standing. It's because of your vision that we are all here today. At this time, I would like to ask Terry Nilsson and Jamie Vollen to please stand up. Because it's because of these two who have taken this torch and carried it for many, many years, that this has always come through as a most amazing event. Is Jamie? Raise your hand so everybody knows who you are. Thank you. I would also like to ask Drew Nielsen to please stand up, because as these guys all get older, there's got to be somebody that's going to do the homework like he's been doing and writing a lot of the articles and helping assist his father. So I would like to ask the first presenter to come up is Jamie Vollen, and he is going to share with us a financial update.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, I think I like you almost as much as Barney. No, Kate's doing a great job. One of the new and really exciting things that we have today is Jessie Daw is on the our steering committee. She's a Hall of Famer. She's also, in addition to being a Hall of Famer, she's a member of the board of directors of the northern section. And she arranged for us to get a $1,000 grant, matching grant from the section. And what was so cool about that is as of Friday, there were 8 individuals that already gave us $875. So we're getting real close to that $1,000 match. So that's exciting. And in addition, Mignon Schwabach, my sister, and Jesse applied to the USTA and received grants for the face masks. I'm, in honor of my sister, I'm wearing her Volans Racket face mask and hand sanitizers. So this, these face masks are going to be collector's items. And so we still have time to get our full match from the northern section. And in addition, my good friend and doubles partner, Chuck Wise. Chuck is standing back over here with his beautiful wife, Norma. And Chuck was the tennis coach in 1981. And on that tennis team at Sioux Falls, Lincoln, was Jesse Daw, Angie Breitag, and I think Tonya was in the wings, right, Angie? Yeah. And so what they did, it was really cool. They put together a collage of pictures, a memory board of that time. And I'm just going to go get it and show it to you. So I'll take it down here in a minute, Chuck, so don't worry. But it is really a loving tribute to an excellent coach and all the pictures from 1981. And it's sort of interesting, Bobby, I think these kids went on and played Division I tennis at the University of Minnesota, at Indiana, and they represented South Dakota very well. But anything else you want to say? Okay, well, very good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jamie. At this time, I'd like to ask Tom Clayton to come forward. He wants to speak a couple minutes about tennis in Aberdeen. Tom, are you here or? Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm a late entry to the agenda here, but some of us were fortunate enough to play tennis back when Doug Smith put together a fantastic group of players up in Aberdeen and got the program started. I had the opportunity to talk to the tennis coach from Roncalli last year as he played tennis against Roosevelt, where my stepson plays, and his team did actually. And they have some really good players up there. They need some indoor courts. And they had a push up there, almost got it done. But if anybody is interested in helping get them over the top to build some indoor courts up in Aberdeen, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Don Greben's Love Serving Tennis Award. Over the years, Love Serving Tennis program has financially assisted communities and various other organizations to the tune of $14,000 now, and is now currently assisting high schools with what's called the Spirit of Max Award. I don't know if many of you have had in the past the pleasure of meeting Max Biener. He was an amazing young man, and he passed away with cancer. So this award was put together in his behalf. And so it's awarded to a high school boy or girl each year at the state tournament. This year, of course, there was no boys state tournament, hopefully looking forward to the future of tennis going forward. And the girl that was recipient this year was Megan Hauger from Watertown. So let's give Megan an applause. Our next award is called the Achievement Award. And the Achievement Award is given to someone who has outstanding excellence in either coaching or promoting tennis throughout the state of South Dakota. This year, we are extremely excited to announce the winner of this award and recipient is Doug Dexheimer from Spearfish High School. In your brochures, a very nice article is written by Hall of Famer Jesse Daw. Jesse, are you here? Could you please stand up? Jesse is social distancing. She was to be the presenter, and she's asked me to do it for her. I wrote down a few things that Jesse mentions in your brochure about Doug. Her comments were something like this. Doug is a true servant leader in fashion. Quietly but steadily, he has led grassroots tennis in the Spearfish area for over 20 years. He's coached also the Spearfish High School tennis teams for over 20 years. Doug taught tennis in the community with kids in the summer as young as 3 years of age. Doug worked tirelessly to help the city of Spearfish build 6 new tennis courts and fundraising and obtaining grants from the USTA. Doug is a founding father and member of the Spearfish Tennis Association. Doug was for many years, which I didn't know, and I've known Doug for a long time, ski instructor at Terry Peak. Doug is very involved in his church, serving various types of youth ministry. Doug's influence in tennis is broad and meaningful, as he served the Spearfish tennis community without seeking recognition or accolades for his efforts. Doug is not able to be here today. He has stage 4 cancer. I was actually very privileged to have a very nice conversation with him on the phone, and he had asked me to accept this award. But I want to tell you a little of my perspective about Doug Dexheimer. I had the honor a few years ago to hear Erin Brockovich, we all know Erin Brockovich in the movie, speak from the big stage. It was at a business convention. She talked about how she was able to unravel what she was able to do in this movie. She credits everything to her mother. She said, from the time I was a very, very young child, my mom always taught me stick-to-itiveness. And she went in great detail about what that means. When you believe something, you fight for it and you stick to it. Doug Dexheimer has stick-to-itiveness. Sometimes coaches have the talent, sometimes they don't. Sometimes it can be tough to fill a roster, especially with so many sports out there today and so many coaches trying to grab the players. But Doug, you know what? During tough times, he never quit. And then when he was struck with cancer a few years ago, many of us thought that he would quit. Nope, Doug has stick-to-itiveness. I had the pleasure to talk to Doug a few days ago, and he asked me to accept this award in his absence. Here is what he wanted me to share with you. I just need to say, the only reason I accept this award is because I feel blessed to be part of a great tennis team and community. Thanks for all your kindness and prayers. Congratulations, Doug. You're amazing. Stick-to-itiveness, you have it. And you, my friend and co-coach, are the 2020 Tennis Achievement recipient, Doug Dexheimer. And now I'd like to ask Coach Barnes to come forward.
Our first Hall of Famer is, Chad, you played in this tournament, right? How'd you do?
This year?
Yeah, won. Well, yeah, we can't have a Hall of Famer. No. So anyway, to present Chad Larson is Betty McNeil.
Thank you. I asked my husband Jack if I was up to this, and he says, you're up to it. So it's so nice to see so many tennis acquaintances from the past, and I don't want to say old friends. So anyway, like my sister's young friend told her, I just want to hug somebody besides my family in these times. Congratulations to the 2020 Tennis Hall of Fame inductees. I remember being in awe of the Breitag girls' tennis skills when I first got into tennis as an adult. I'm entitling my remarks, Character Matters. So, who wouldn't want a tennis partner who supports every shot you make, good or bad? Who expects every kid on the courts to greet you with, "Hi, Betty," when you come by? Who makes sure every player has someone to play before playing himself? Who teaches sportsmanship before teaching the physical skills of the game? Chad Larson fits that bill in a big way. He truly practices the golden rule in all his dealings in both life and tennis. The tennis community is so fortunate that Chad has placed his focus on our sport. Chad is the first one to the courts and the last to leave almost every spring, summer, fall day. He organizes leagues. He's on the tennis board. He cleans courts. He has been instrumental in umpteen kids going to tennis camps with MTA scholarships and the responsibility to apply and write reports on their experience. That's Chad. Chad has been a huge part in building new courts in Mitchell, a new shed, and overall improvements to the Mitchell facility. He writes an excellent newsletter, keeping everyone up to date on tennis happenings, encouraging both participators and spectators. The parents and grandparents love Chad for teaching courtesy and manners. There is not a person who has shown interest in playing tennis, no matter their level of skill, that Chad hasn't encouraged. I thank him for his friendship, loyalty, fun, and his example of service. Chad has made the Mitchell tennis courts the place to be on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. He always has something going on to get people on the courts and have fun. I know how much this recognition means to Chad because he respects all those who have gone before him. There is not a better ambassador of the sport, and I know he will treasure this time always. Thank you.
That's hard to follow. First off, thanks, Betty, for agreeing to speak on my behalf. You are a dear friend and a great tennis partner. I'm lucky to have you in my life and in my circle. Also, thanks to Brad Green for writing such a nice piece about me in the program. You are a true professional. First off, I want to thank the South Dakota Tennis Hall of Fame Committee for this honor, past Hall of Fame inductees who are in attendance, and really anyone who loves, supports, and plays tennis. I want to thank my family, close friends, fellow tennis coaches, and of course all my tennis kids, many who are here supporting me today. You all mean so much to me. I want to congratulate fellow inductees Angela and Tonya. Their accomplishments on the tennis court are impressive, and both are worthy of today's recognition. And congrats to Doug. Unfortunately, he isn't here today, but congrats to Doug for receiving the Tennis Achievement Award. You are truly a class act, and I have admired your connection that you have with your tennis kids. You have influenced so many young lives and made a difference in your community and in the state. So well done, Doug. I also have just a couple other notes I'm going to throw in here before I turn my page, but I also want to thank Mignon Schwebach for supporting our Mitchell kids. We don't have a tennis store in Mitchell, so we like to send a lot of our kids over there, and she just treats them like they're her own. I constantly hear comments from them about their experience there, so thank you for doing that. Thanks to Terry Nielsen for helping us along with this journey. His correspondence has been amazing, and just the Valen family, the Nielsen family, and whole, they've just really done a great job with this event. Well, I wouldn't be standing here today without help from others, especially from my Mitchell tennis coaches. There are three in specific that I've worked with. First, Gail Klein gave me the chance to coach tennis as her assistant in 2005. In fact, she had to ask me twice. I had never coached before, nor had I ever thought that I would become a coach. But thankfully, with Gail's persistence, she got me to do it. Because of her, I have been coaching tennis for 16 years, and my life has forever changed. Thanks also to John Sersasimo for giving me the tools to teach the kids. Without his guidance, wisdom, and patience, I wouldn't be the coach that I am. So thanks again, John. And finally to Pat Muller. Your motivation and all-in attitude with our tennis kids and our program has been transforming. We make a great team. And since I'm talking about coaches, thanks to all the current and former tennis coaches around the state who have accepted me as an equal since day one, your kindness has not gone unnoticed. For me, tennis has always been and will always be about relationships and people. Whether I'm on the tennis court competing or giving instruction to Mitchell tennis kids, I try to make the experience fun for everyone. Maybe that's why I don't see this induction as an individual award. It's really an award for Mitchell tennis and those who have contributed before me. I share this honor with all of Mitchell. Like I have mentioned before, my tennis kids mean a lot to me. They are my world and my second family, so thanks to them for making my life complete. As for playing tennis, I was a park and rec kid from the start. I rode my bike 9 blocks and took tennis lessons at Hitchcock Park. I also played golf and bowled. My best days growing up were playing 3 sets of tennis, golfing 18 holes on the course, and bowling 3 or 4 games. That's all in one day. Let's just say I better not do that anytime soon. Through the years on the tennis court, I have always appreciated a good doubles partner, and I've had many over the years. Specifically, Ginger, and she played first with me a lot with the mixed doubles. Betty McNeil followed, of course, and I wouldn't trade her for anyone. But we have. I've got a small list, and it's going to make me sound like I'm desperate for doubles partners, but I need to mention a few of them. Leah Brano, Laura Wong, Jordan Reimnitz, John Osterloo, Tom Myers, Jacob Dami, Tyler Osterloo, Steve Kraft, and like I said, many of them are here today. And last year I did play with Melanie Mullenmeister, which was a lot of fun as well. If you ask them, they will probably tell you that they are the reason why I have won so many matches over the years, and honestly, they're probably right. Thanks to the Mitchell Tennis Association members for your time and for having the vision to turn our 8 tennis courts into a 12-court complex. We are currently building a new tennis shed next to those courts and will continue to improve the site for the coming years. Thanks to Dakota Wesleyan University for allowing me to coach. Specifically Lori Essig, my former boss at the time. My real job is a graphic designer for DW, and I remember walking into Lori's office a bit nervous when I asked her if I could coach in the spring. Without hesitation, she said, yes, go for it. I have continued to balance my professional life with my tennis life, and Dakota Wesleyan has supported me in those efforts and continues to do so today. And finally, I want to thank my 2 brothers, Jeff and Scott, and my sister, Jamie. and their families for continually lifting me up over the years. In Mitchell, the Larson clan had their own version of Friday Night Lights, except this was for tennis at Hitchcock Park and not football at Joe Quintal Field. I would pick up my nieces and nephews, giving my brothers a little bit of time off to have a night off, but I would pick them up and we would head to the courts. We'd play tennis for hours and hours and hours. Many times we would stop after tennis and pick up some ice cream just to make it worth it. It was my way of sharing time with them, and those memories will be with me forever. And thankfully, all of those hours on the court paid off with my nieces and nephews because I was able to coach them later on as colonels on the tennis team. Once again, I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for this prestigious award, an award that I will treasure the rest of my tennis days. It means a lot to Mitchell Tennis, to my family, and to me. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chad Larson. I just want to ask, is there anyone left in Mitchell? Would all the Mitchell people please stand up? I think this is awesome. Thank you for coming. I'd like to ask Jeff Nelson to come up to present an award, please.
The Don Grebin Award that we've been getting out to community associations to help foster grassroots tennis has been funded by individuals over the years, and also the South Dakota Indoor Tennis Tournament. And this year, in memory of Doug, we're awarding $1,000 to the Spearfish Tennis Association. So I'll give that to Kate, and she will pass that on. And Doug's one of those guys, for just like Chad, that when they're in the trenches doing that grassroots tennis work, countless hours, often not acknowledged enough, and Doug's one of those. So we're glad to present him that award.
Thanks.
Congrats to all you guys, Hall of Fame.
This check, along with his award, will be sent to Doug this week. And now I'd like to ask Coach Barnes to come up and present to you our next Hall of Famer.
All right, here to introduce their mother, Angie, are Jordan and Taylor.
Hello. I am honored that I get to get up and stand here and talk about one of the persons that I look up to most, and the person who's already been a Hall of Famer in my eyes, my mom. I did not get the privilege to watch my mom compete at her prime, but hearing stories from her and from others, I can picture what a fierce, passionate, hardworking, and focused tennis player she was. Like the story of her first 12 and under national tournament in Florida, where she got absolutely crushed, but came back determined to be better and do everything she could to be a better tennis player. Plus, I also get to see how beautiful her game still is today, and wow, she's a true athlete. I have seen how my mom's love and passion for the sport continued even after she tore up the court in South Dakota. I can't begin to tell you the hours and hours she has spent on the court with me, starting when she took me out to the park by our house for the first time when I was little, to her helping me during high school as I prepared for college tennis. Some of the best memories I have with my mom are on the tennis court. There were many frustrating days where it seemed like I couldn't hit a forehand, but she would rally with me for hours and hours and be the source of encouragement that I needed. Tennis for us is a family thing. Tennis is a special connection that my mom and I will always share. My mom used her experiences to help me in my own tennis journey. She also let me make tennis my own. The fierce fist pump, though, I definitely got from my mom. And I'm going to give one today on this special day celebrating my mom, Tonya Breitag Kopfer.
Thank you so much, JJ. I'm really proud of you and I love you, Taylor. I'm proud of you and I love you too. I want to begin by extending my deepest thanks to the South Dakota Hall of Fame nominating board in giving me this opportunity to experience this honor with my sister. She has accomplished so much in life, but also certainly on the court as a high school player and as a Division I player at the University of Minnesota. And she has my utmost admiration. When I take a look back at all the inductees from 1991 to date, it is truly an honor to share this award with all of the South Dakota Tennis Hall of Fame inductees, many of whom I have spent hours and hours on the court with. When I reflect back to my years as a competitive tennis player in South Dakota, there are two themes that really come to mind for me. And the first is community and family. While I was truly a fierce competitor, it was all about relationships for me. And the concept of community really started for me here at the old McKennan Park. The concrete tennis courts and the runs that we had to make to the bathroom down the way during our matches, and at the Spellerberg Parks, where I was under the tutelage of Chris Dummermuth. Chris shared with me in a note this week that Tonya and I were two of the last players to advance what she calls the sandlot era, and which my daughters know as the park player era. There was no formal instruction. You just came up to the courts and you figured it out. I have such sweet memories starting the morning with my sister Tonya, where we would pack up our cooler of water and sandwiches, our racket, no sunscreen. There was no sunscreen in the 1970s. And ride our bikes, our banana bikes. Chris remembers them as pink. I think they were pink and blue. Up to the courts where we would have ourselves a day. I would either hit with my sister or with all the other sandlot players that showed up to the courts that day. Players like Jessie Daw, who I had the honor of playing doubles with in the state high school tournament as a freshman. Alex Ross, Sarah Zimmer, Jenny Luke, Kathy Kessinger, Dirk Rasmussen, and certainly Doug Novak, to name a few. There was also a slightly more older, mature group who I call my mentoring community group. And these players contributed in an amazing way to my time on the court and to my life. And I truly believe that was what made South Dakota tennis so special. It was from this more mature mentoring community group that I learned sportsmanship. And I learned the freedom in respecting your opponent, and the freedom that that brings to your game. These are players like Chris Dummermuth, who was an incredible listener, always offering encouragement to both Tonya and I. Jeff Nelson, who was just downright fun and positive. Karen Bernard, I watched her resiliency and how she was always available to hit with my sister and I. Jim Bam Gurpin, in just his quiet calmness. He didn't need to say much. You could just watch him and go, I want to be like him. Brian Balser, who traveled with us on occasion to tournaments, and he had a way to bring a lightness to Tonya and I's game and just a way to create laughter out on the court. And finally, Mike Hager. I learned creativity from him, work ethic, and humor. I also had the incredible opportunity to benefit from what I call professional mentoring. Had the opportunity at some point to work with Marty Johnson, initially in Sioux City, Iowa, for a couple of years before we were blessed by his talent at Wood Lake. He not only refined my park player strokes, evidently he saw some potential in them, but he taught me tenacity and focus. Finally, memories of South Dakota tennis most definitely lie with my family. My beautiful sister, with whom I share this honor, and who will always be my go-to best friend, was my number one hitting partner and partner in crime at the courts. Our parents cultivated a relationship somehow where we were able to compete against each other, shake hands, and then turn around 30 minutes later and have the time of our lives playing doubles together on the tennis court. My best memories of junior tennis was hands down being on the court, playing doubles with my sister, and hitting balls at the park. We had a way of balancing out our serious competitiveness with a whole lot of goofiness. We had the opportunity to travel and compete in local, regional, and national tournaments. And this is where I really felt the support of my parents and extended family as well. Our parents were always there for us with positive encouragement, amazing words, and just lots of hugs. They made sacrifices financially so that we could compete at a regional and national level. As parents themselves, they saw, or as athletes themselves, they saw the benefit of offering us opportunities in tennis and what it taught us. We also had the opportunity to watch them compete as tennis players and in road races, and we observed their work ethic and tenacity. Back when we were playing tournaments, there wasn't fast food restaurants or Chipotle or Panera. There wasn't GPS or Google Maps, and my parents had to plan for these tournaments. The coolers were packed with lots of ice, sandwiches, maps were routed out and highlighted. We really had no idea how long it was going to take to get to the courts, but under their advisement, we were always prepared and supported for our days where we played from morning 8 a.m. until the lights went out at night, maybe 6 to 8 matches. There weren't regulations under USTA for the number of matches that you could play or breaks. You just did it, and they supported that process. My family support extended to my Uncle Terry, my Aunt Linda, and my cousins Drew and Christopher, who, when they weren't on the court themselves, were always there to support us. My grandparents, Clint and Eris, never missed a match. And I have very fond memories of their green lawn chairs, setting up beside to watch every single point. And later on, when my daughters Taylor and Jordan played, my grandmother, I have vivid memories of her, against our advisement, coming from her car to their match in her walker. You know, yeah, she made it without a fall, but wonderful memories of them. My grandpa was always in the background with his gentleness and his soft smiles and his hug. My grandma, a little bit more on the forefront. I could always feel her belief through her spunky, encouraging words, and her body language whenever I looked at her was always, "You've got this." Family support and love of the game extended to our daughters, John and I's daughters, Jordan and Taylor, and they really understand to this day how amazing tennis is and that it is a lifelong sport. Our family has spent countless hours on the clay courts in Florida and at the lake in Okoboji with Grandpa Kevin and Grandma Judy, where we would play doubles and have games. And I don't think any of us have quite figured out Grandpa's top spin forehand yet to this day. And we definitely are in amazed admiration at my mother, Judy, who just is a whiz at tiebreakers. Don't get into a tiebreaker with Judy Johansson. And about 10 years ago, we had the opportunity to travel to South Carolina and spend some time with my dad, who has had to put the racket away because of some knee injuries, and he pulled it out that year. And we got several hours on the court with him for a couple of days, and I'll never forget it. He has amazing athletic talent, and it was a blessing to both my daughters and to myself to be on the court with him that day. I will forever be grateful for the lifelong impact tennis brought to my life and the blessings I received from my family and to the South Dakota tennis community. Thank you.
Angie, if you and your two daughters would come up so we can get a photo.
And her husband can even get in.
And your husband.
Oh, he'll take it.
I left out the best part, your husband.
Yeah.
Okay, here to introduce his wife Tonya, is her husband Doug.
By the time you get up there, you'll beat her and Ryan Danny.
Congratulations, everybody. What an outstanding honor. No offense to anybody else, but I have the greatest job of all time. I get to talk about my wife, Tonya. When she got the announcement that she was going into the Hall of Fame, it was an exciting time. But then typical Tonya, she started to worry a little bit about preparation. She said, what would I say? It was so long ago, I can't even remember the matches. And I said, you really don't have to. Somebody else remembered them. That's why you're going into the Hall of Fame. And then I asked the next question is like, what do you remember? And it was kind of amazing how vivid those memories were, rather than the trophies and all the matches she won, and she won a lot, obviously. She went into great detail about a lot of people that are out here today. She went into great detail about the travel, what they ate, what she wore. And then come to think about it, since I got to travel with them sometimes, those skirts were nice. And in fact, I'm not so sure that didn't help propel my tennis career going forward. Because until that moment, I was more of like real sports. I was football, basketball, track, and then you got to meet Tonya, and tennis became really appealing. And it did start right here. Playing in a tournament, somehow we meet, and Grace, our 8-year-old, always asks the story. She goes, how did it happen? How did it get started? And she's named it the love story. Dad, can you tell the love story? So it is interesting, the relationships. It's always been important to Tonya. But Grace, there's a couple stories about your mom that you don't know. How competitive your mom is and was. We had just gotten married. We're living in Knoxville, Tennessee. I had just finished playing college tennis. She did too. My college roommate, who played at the University of Tennessee, and his girlfriend was at Notre Dame, were there for the summer. Every Friday night, we had the keys to the University of Tennessee stadium, and we'd turn the lights on. And we had some of the greatest mixed doubles, high-level tennis matches that you could imagine. Everybody was in shape, and we could still play. Well, by the end of the summer, it was about even, and it came down to one critical match between us. And so Tonya and I are playing really good tennis. It goes down to the third set. We're in a tiebreaker. Playing well. It's a high-level match. Tonya's serving. I'm at the net, and I'm so thankful that I'm married to this grateful, tough, devoted woman who can serve and volley. And I know we're down. It's a match point, but I have such confidence in her. And I'm at the net, and I'm in my stance, and I'm just picturing, like, this is just so much fun. This is great. And she misses the first serve. No problem. Like, this is a Hall of Famer. So I'm ready there, and I know she's been kicking that serve out wide to the girl from Notre Dame to her backhand. And I picture that ball coming across, and I know exactly what I'm going to do with it. And I could see it in my mind. And I was going to cut across diagonally, just like Jim Van Gerpen taught us, and I was going to angle it off. I saw it, and so I'm ready. And Tonya hits the second serve right into the net. The Hall of Famer double faulted. One of the best doubles players I've ever played with just double faulted and lost a crucial match that we had prepared for all summer long. So I know what it means to be a good doubles partner. And so I stayed looking at the net for a second while she's back there. I tried to let it all out, and then I turned to go shake her hand, and we go to the net, and she didn't talk hardly at all, because we would always go to eat after that match. And so we were going to meet the couple at a restaurant, and she wasn't talking. I just figured, she's competitive, and she's mad we lost too. It turned out she wasn't happy about losing, but she said I rolled my eyes at her. I was like, no way could you see that. There's absolutely no way. She felt it. So unbelievably competitive, but here's what she was competing for. She was competing for our relationship. That, we transition out of that college tennis, you transition. So I don't know if I've ever met anybody who has been more focused on or faithful to the stuff that truly matters. Like, she gets it. She is competitive about stuff that truly matters. So it doesn't surprise me that she can't remember the matches, but she remembers you guys. It doesn't surprise me that she remembers the stuff that we did out there playing and those types of things, because she understands this game. Tennis is a finite game. It has a start and has an end. The game of life is infinite, and it's not about winning or losing. It's infinite would be like marriage. You don't win marriage. You try to play another day. She is unbelievable. Like, I didn't know this when you pick a wife. Like, oh, you want one that's competitive, that's going to compete for your marriage, compete for your family, compete as a mom. She's going into the Hall of Fame for what she did, but she is loved, respected, honored for how she did it and why she did it. And I'd like to introduce my wife, and I am the biggest fan, and she is the #1 competitor I have ever come across. Let's give a big hand for Tonya Novak.
Thank you, Douglas. It is quite an honor to be here today. When I look back at all the former Hall of Fame inductees, Jeff Nelson, Jim Van Gerpen, Jesse Daw, Chris Dummermuth, Karen Bernard Hagee, Tom Krieger, Terry Nielsen, and I'm going to apologize for people that I haven't mentioned. But I had the honor of getting to play with every single one of those people I mentioned and more. They taught me so much on the court and off the court, more importantly, and it is such a privilege to be here today. A special thank you to the Hall of Fame committee. I can only imagine the countless volunteer hours that go into this event and to keep the tradition of South Dakota tennis alive. A special thank you to my Uncle Terry and my cousin Drew. It was very special that Drew wrote the article about me. He, of course, remembered more than I did. But it was really fun talking with him and emailing him as we reminisced about the last years of my high school and college career. Also, a very special thank you I want to send to my parents and family. Of course, I would not be in this position today without my mom and dad, and the sacrifices that they made so that my sister and I had the opportunities that tennis gave us, the hours that they spent watching us, taking us to tournament, to lessons, the financial sacrifices and what they had to give up is something I will always be grateful for. It's very fitting to me that this event is being held at McKennan Park. My sister talked about this a little bit in her speech, but this is where it all began for both of us. when my love of tennis began here, it also grew as we played here hour after hour with friends. I think of Todd Crodeville, Jenny Luke, Sarah Zimmer, Kathy Kessinger. And the great thing about it when we were growing up playing is that we didn't have scheduled clinics or scheduled lessons. We just came up, whoever was here, we got on the courts and played. And that's really what developed my love for the game. When I tell my oldest daughter, our oldest daughter, Mackenzie, who does play, and I share that with her, she's very jealous that we were able to come here and just hang out. It's kind of like going to the baseball field. Whoever shows up, you get a game going. And that's what we had with tennis. And then we'd go up to the Twin Cities and play tournaments. At that time, 95% of the tournaments were in the Twin Cities. And it was always comforting to me to have my sister there, but to have the other South Dakota tennis players there. There was a special bond that we had between us and the support that we could give one another. And that all started here at McKennan Park. And when I look out, I think about over here, this was before these beautiful courts were built. Playing on a front court to the right, I was playing Alex Rost. And it had to have been one of my first tournaments, probably in the 10 and unders, and walking down into the courts when they were the cement courts, you had to take a few steps down to be able to play. But I remember my grandparents, Grandpa Clint and Grandma Era, sitting in their lawn chairs watching, and Grandpa with his baseball cap on. Grandma usually had a cooler to have snacks and drinks for us afterwards, after the match. And they watched hours and hours of tennis with my sister and I, my cousins Christopher and Drew. And that is something that I treasure to this day. They even traveled outside of the state to watch us. I remember them coming to California a couple times to watch when I was playing for Minnesota during spring break. And then behind my grandpa and grandma, as they were sitting in their lawn chairs, would be my mom pacing. Mom could never sit for very long when she watched us play, which as a mother today, I understand that. And then my dad, his competitive nature would come out, and I remember him with the clenched fist, yes, come on, Tonya. And to this day, he does that, and I guess I get that too, because I notice it when I'm watching my husband's basketball team. We stand up and have the same gesture. As I walk, if I would take a walk down to the very back courts, the far back court, left side, 10 years ago, maybe 11, my sister and I were playing what was it was our last tournament that we've played together. The South Dakota Open. I don't know if we were trying to relive our glory days, but our speed and agility had gone to the wayside a little bit. But what remained was our communication, our encouragement of one another, and pure joy of being out on the court together. A very special bond that we had on and off the court that I am so very grateful for. And then yesterday she says, we should play in the Century Division next year. And I said, I'm still healing from my Achilles injury that I got 11 years ago when we played. So I don't know about that. Another memory I have here at McKennan Park, there's a tree right over here to the right of the gentleman in the blue Nike shirt. Hello. That I call my giving tree. I remember going there after matches that I lost. I usually needed time to simmer down and be reminded of what was truly important. You know, as a junior playing, tennis can become too important and you forget what is true. And so I would go there because I usually couldn't be talked to. I needed my space. But I so vividly remember being able to go over to that tree and take time to myself. And then after that, I would have my family and friends and coaches to talk to me and encourage me on, you know, to go out there and play another match and realize it's not the end of the world. After one of those times of being able to go talk to family and friends, there was a new friendship that developed. And this I distinctly remember on this first court by the hitting wall. Is the hitting wall still? Yes, by the hitting wall. There was a boy. I was a sophomore. Just finished my sophomore year of high school, and there was a boy playing on that court. Really blonde hair, looked quite athletic, had a headband on, and I thought, I want to get to know that kid. And we developed a friendship, played hours and hours of tennis here at McKennan Park, super competitive. To kind of lighten things up, we would have water fights after we played or go over here to 7-Eleven for Slurpees and gummy worms. And that friendship developed into something a little bit more. Years later, I actually found out that the friendship did mean something pretty special to him, because I discovered that there was a picture in his Brandon Valley High School locker that he had sketched of me that was taken from one of the Argus Leader pictures. I found it in the basement of his mom's house one time. But that competitive nature and the encouragement that I got from Doug is something that, you know, I greatly am very grateful for, even to this day. And we, by the way, celebrated 28 years of marriage last week, something I'm very proud of. But the competitive nature that he touched on a little bit, and it still exists today and really makes our marriage fun. In all this quarantine, you couldn't find courts that had nets on them a couple months ago. And so we took a couple sawhorses out of our garage, tied a net to the two of them, and had our own makeshift tennis court out in our cul-de-sac in front of our house. And Grace was out there playing a little bit, our oldest daughter, Mackenzie, and then Doug and I decided to play. And I know it's a cul-de-sac and it's sawhorses, but it's still a competition. Our neighbor was grilling dogs. He was behind his fence. He was like Wilson from Home Improvement. You could just see the very top of his head, and he kept yelling out, "What's the score?" You know, how do you keep score? Who's winning? And I wanted to say to him, do you not realize this is a very serious match we're having here? But that's just a little inkling of, you know, where our relationship has gone, and what the relationships that tennis has given me with my husband, with the friendships and teammates, high school and college, the coaches, is something that I am so grateful for and so thankful for, because I know not everybody has that. And so I will always be very grateful for everything that tennis has given me in my life. And I want to thank you again for everybody coming out today and enjoying this beautiful McKennan Park.
Congratulations, Tonya. I remember watching these Breitag girls.
Doug will come up.
I could never keep track of which one was which because they're so close in age, but they were quite the competitors without a doubt. Your family then to accept the award with you?
Give it to Daryl. Go in the front.
I want to say really quick, this is my daughter Sarah and my other daughter Grace. Our oldest Mackenzie couldn't be here, but I want everybody to know who they are.
Good recruiting.
Congratulations to all of our award winners today and our 3 new Hall of Famers. Let's have one more round of applause for them. In the past, we've always done a group picture over by the awards, and this year, due to social distancing, we will not do that. However, we would ask that the new Hall of Famers please meet over there for some pictures. And again, congratulations to all, and we hope next year we can put these nice little face masks away. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.